Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the MI podcast. This is a very interesting episode, more personalized from mine, where what I've learned over the period of time working in marketing, the lessons I've learned, there have been learnings, many inspirational people you met, not so inspirational, also all kinds of experiences you have. I can kind of share a little bit in terms of what are the learnings. So in terms of youngsters, they can get a good idea of this field and how to go about it, different kind of challenges, ups and downs that you face in it, and generally how to kind of improve yourself in that process, like how to be kind of relevant as a marketer also, and go forward, because marketing, I would say, is becoming a very competitive field, even within, like, not only in terms of competition or outside, like as a marketer when you work, is all about getting that engine. Then there are a lot of brands vying for that attention, but also within, obviously, there is going to be a competition where there are certain amount of opportunities, and then people have to get it. So in terms of that, obviously shouldn't be the case. There has to be more, but that is a larger thing we cannot look at. That is how the economy progresses. There are more work is created. Great entrepreneurs come up with businesses. They need marketing and all, because marketing would be applicable where there is a competition involved. So if there is a entity which would, there are just a few providers, monopoly, duopoly, and all those other cases, where you have in, say, government sectors and all, you don't need marketing. The customers will come and find it because they need that service. So, in general terms, you would require marketers. Obviously, in the private sector, it is competitive. Everybody is vying for that attention to sell their products or services. It's quite easy to start a company, but to make it competitive is kind of the real task, where the real test is there, how your business basically survives and then goes on and thrives. So I'll just share some interesting nuggets and some learnings of it. So, but obviously it'll be point by point on how this podcast usually is. So, firstly, as a marketer, is you need to keep up with your industry trends. Um, Compared to all the professionals out there in marketing, you have to be up to date, because it's a constant, you are judged on a day-to-day basis. Whatever campaigns you are done, it is everyday competition. It's that would you not see in any other kind of a professional field. There, when you join the company, then you can kind of get into their processes and all. In marketing, more than process is the how you perform in it, right? On day-to-day basis, if your campaign is not getting that amount of engagement from the audience, then that is a direct bearing on specifically the sales that can happen in that month, right? So that is where you have to keep up with industry trends, what is happening, what is working, what is not. Keep observing. Like, for example, I use a tool called Feedly. So wherein they are, like, say, the top, the companies, their social media feed, or in that, like, the competitors, or you have certain media like sites or some news updates of some certain keywords and all that can come on one particular platform where you're observing. So you're keeping what is happening in the industry, what are people talking about, what are kind of the changes, even monetization techniques, different kind of packages that you can make, that ideas you get from your competition basically, as well as what is happening in the market in general. So you have to do this as a part of your job. It's nothing to enhance it. It has now become a part of the job, because a marketer who is not competitive is not relevant in that company, right? Because if none of your campaigns are working, your leads, and leads also is, it's a performance. Like, if somebody has to fill inquiry form, there has to be somewhere or the other, the way the marketing message is communicated, the way the, say, a landing page is designed, it all contributes to that. So you have to be just up to date with these trends. Then you test different things, like when you have certain ideas and all, you should test them in a smaller scale and then measure also what is happening every campaign, what were the statistics for it, so where you can have a clear picture that so and so, like for example in an email campaign, a headline is there, this is what works out if I didn't change. So A and B campaigns that are happening, they can see and what was the result from a change A, change B, C, D, and all these things. So you need to measure and press. So also record. You should say, "Ki, okay, whatever I've done in terms of the campaign, everything is kind of recorded in front of you." Because when you're doing an analysis, it becomes easier. Then you go around then looking after that data, because now there are quite a lot of things, like they could a marketer could be working under 10 different marketing activities at a time, even if he's working in a medium sized company today. Like you will have your say email marketing, what is happening, the SEO, your social media, your Google ads, your Facebook ads. So there's so many kind of headings where he has to work in, and continuous testing and measuring, because if you're getting the result only, that is where the success is. So if you're measuring continuously, you have a system in place where you're measuring that what led to what, then that would help you in success going forward. Then you have your relationships that you will have. Now this is very important as a marketer, because marketer, most of the time you're working a lot of vendors, right? Like say you could have an external graphic designer, somebody there for printing, you are working with multiple agencies, and also I would suggest put in more efforts in building a stronger relation. I've seen many places where we just make superficial kind of relation. Okay, this is required, that is that. So there's no deep understanding on it. There has to be a deep conversation. There has to be a kind of a camaraderie between a vendor and all. I'm sure, obviously, it's a business thing, but it builds it more, right? There is more interest. Today, so many things are just on an auto mode. Like vendor would have like 100 different clients, and a marketer would be working in if he's in a big organization with 10 different agencies. There's no personal touch, and that is where work is not routine. It's not like factory, a certain formula, and then you'll keep churning out that same product. It is the people have to connect with it. So that personal touch, like an artist, if he's making some artwork, he puts his heart and soul into that, so that it somewhere connects. That much amount of effort is required. So I would say when you build this wrong, the people want to do well for you. Like that, you would have heard with a lot of great businessmen that they keep such an environment that the employees really are compelled to really work hard for that. So, while building that foundation, they're compelled to work hard for your company, because they are looked after, whatever, you have a great camaraderie with them. And then people go on. I mean, you all would have also worked with multiple different vendors, like even when they've gone to a different company, you're working with the same vendor in that, like same graphic designer or same company in say, printing services or something. So because that relation is there, and then that you can add on to it, and that as a result, in your whatever you are achieving for your company as well, then you need to be extremely adaptable. Like you can't be have fixed ideas on certain things. You have to adapt the changes. Like you will go to different companies, you'll have different kind of boss, as well as some will be very judgmental, some will be supportive, somebody is giving a good budget for something you want, some are not, some are kind of fixed, they're not changing the marketing channel, they're feeling that something's too expensive or doesn't go with the brand or something. So but still you have to work for them, you have to perform for them. So you need to be adaptable in that sense. Whatever happens up to the max level, I can work around that. So adapt with that thing and all. Nothing is, it's end of the day, you don't have to take it too hard. It's a kind of a business happening, whoever, and it'll affect their business outcome only. You can go and change your job and all, but thing is that you need to change, because in most of the places there are limitations, and which can be justified or not justified, whatever is there. But you need to kind of work around those things. Then you need to, very important point, I would say, where many people are not following is the ethics part of it. Like we kind of panic so quickly, like if there's nothing happening. So you take a route which is not that ethical within the business. For example, like you are using certain social media companies who are like you are giving you fake likes or fake engagement, or creating some kind of a fakeness in the market. Like I've even observed in one case where there was an event where um, like there were not many people turning up for that, so they had like kind of fake, some, I think, audience was there or something, which was to showcase, like, there is some great this thing being done, right? Even one particular campaign, I was saying, like, there was some kind of a mistake in a print, like in a huge hoarding, and that was kind of hidden from the client and all. They didn't even own up to that an agency, that mistake has been made, which was been easier. They just try to hide that and all. So that in these kind of, like, in the long term, in the short term, there could be just something which would work out, but in the long term, this doesn't work. If you have a ethical, you have a strong morals in place, that carries you through. All this is just temporary. Let's be honest about it. That there is a certain thing, mistake that happens, or this thing, but over the long term, if you have a dignified approach to this and you have your ethics in place, what you are doing, then that's what matters. The job is or project you are doing and all this is extremely temporary. It's all on human to human relation. So important to understand those things as a marketer, because you are somebody who, with your work, is inducing that desire in a customer to engage with your brand. So this is extremely very important to follow in the long term. It is extremely beneficial, and we all should look at a long term thing and focus on that. Next, I'll go a little bit more into detailed learnings that I've had. These ones I mentioned up to now have been kind of, I would say, general, like what you would kind of expect. Like this thing, this is a little bit more detailed, I would go into now than the general ones. um, what I've found is, when you make a strategy, you have to commit to it in that thing. You can't be like, okay, this didn't work, one day I'll make this change and all. Experimentation is fine in an AB campaigns and all, but somewhere when you made a strategy, certain amount of time you have to go with it, like a month or 2 months with a strategy of an emailing, or like, say, an event that you're planning and all that. So you have to really, if you are impatient towards this, or your employer or the company you're working for, the top management is, then it's not going to work out for them also, right? And I'm sure if they've run a company over a long time and they've been had success, they would have a decent amount of understanding about these things. So once you make a strategy, a certain amount of commitment over a period of time has to be there, because only if you are consistently doing this, then you'll. If you just have some awesome idea and you can execute it and get success, that is more of a luck factor than a long term where you are going to get continuous result from it. So when you make the strategy, certain amount of perseverance in that strategy, sticking with it over a period of time, will showcase also to you also. Even if it doesn't succeed up to a thing, you can still learn from it and then move forward and all. But that commitment that comes in it within your working only has positive effects in the results. Then this is what I found, where I've more, as I said, I've worked more in B2B. Your quality that you create of, like, the database is the most important, because you're going to have your email campaigns on it, you're going to have your, say, direct reach outs, or any cold calling, or whatever it is. So on this, the database is of utmost importance. So when you are creating that, take time out and keep working on increasing this. There are, obviously, in some of my other session, you can see how to work towards creating the database, a quality, which is also another challenge and is a long kind of drawn out process in this. But database is extremely important. I've seen many companies who for years would hardly grow that database or this thing. So it's just to hold some data is there and then just for the sake of it sending say email campaigns or something on it. So I would say take out time and really work on a good database, and that will give you the best amount of results, because that focus, like every entry in there should have a probability to sell, that amount of it shouldn't be just like in a routine way, just building up the numbers in that, right? So I think that is what I've learned over the years. Then when it coming to like when you're hiring and this thing with a market professional, I have noticed this that at least in terms of marketing, where it's a very more into a creative space, and also it's not like there is certain major technical skill that is required, like maybe as a developer or designer, there are certain technical skills that you have to keep. Maybe you've learned in your basic education, and then you try to enhance it with certifications. Marketing is more on the job kind of thing, and your attitude is very important because you're dealing with multiple people in your team, and also the behavior of your customers. So your attitude has to be the most, I would say, positive, or in a way where that creates a positive sentiment, because then what is absolutely which tools you have used, what you have what industry you worked in, that is not that important. And there has to be a technique where you can judge this. If you are hiring people, you are in that position, right? Because the attitude of how he would execute the has a very important great effect on your business aptitude, and all a lot of skills and all these things can be taught. I mean, if you worked certain software in emailing from one company, you work it in another company, these are minor changes. Within a week you can learn those things and all. But and even analytics softwares, like maybe you're using Google Analytics and some other kind of other companies analytics tool or something, these all can be taught, but the attitude is something which cannot be, because then it's like a life coaching kind of thing. So that is an extremely part when you're hiring marketing professionals. Then you are, I would say, marketing more in the art space than a science, because science is more of an exact thing. Like what thing is when you say physics, chemistry, biology, and all these things when you associate science. But marketing, I would say, it's so variable and subjective. One thing can work with one person and not work with the other. So it's more of, I would say, an art over the period of time. Would have realized, and the numbers and all just gives you a certain context, and also people who are putting in money and all, they have to have a certain direction. That's why they have to refer to the reports and all that. But end of the day, to get the results is through the it being more of an art. And lastly, my learning would be is, as a marketer, even if you are working at an initial stage, you have to have strong leadership qualities in you, because leader is something who has a vision, and the vision is what would motivate, like someone, when you see some ad, you get inspired and some emotions are aroused. A leader is able to do that, arouse the emotions. Like when you have a major, like even a political leader, he is able to arouse those emotions that people take action, like, and go out there and do things. um, so that is, I would say, an important quality and has to be tested in a marketer, to know is the right person. And as a marketer, you should develop those leadership qualities in you, and your planning skills, that on a mass scale, like when I mentioned this, like 10 different activity headings when you're working even in a small company, how do you plan all this when you create those headings into specific activities, and then specific activities into separate tasks and then subtasks. So that planning on a mass scale today, even when you have a small company with a small budget, where it has to be used judiciously, I would feel is something which a marketer has to have in him. Like, we won't be able to manage the work only if you don't have these skills, and you keep enhancing them as the work increases in terms of the verticals or horizontals or whatever you're doing. Awesome. So these were my learnings as a marketer. Apparently, you all can share with me any of your learnings and all. Be part of this podcast, definitely can reach out to me. Can do that through LinkedIn. Thank you. Thanks for your time. I'll see you. Take care.